Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the TLC Podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Mike. Mike, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Another great week in WWE. Really, I think a overperforming show on Saturday night, Backlash. Um,
Yes.
I want to jump right into it. Let's start at the back and work our way to the front. What did you think of that
Okay.
main event?
I thought it was good. It
I
was
did too.
kind of very reminiscent of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Extreme Rules.
Yes.
I thought. I thought, oh boy, are we gonna? They already did this like story once.
Yeah.
Are they gonna do it again? And really, it's not that many years apart when you think about it.
No, I guess it's what 11 years later. Yeah.
11, 12 years, yeah. So it's still fresh in people's minds.
Which it's
And,
funny you say that when you originally said, "Oh well, we've seen this story," I immediately thought, "What was that? Like 5, 6 years ago?" I went, "Oh, 11. Boy,
yeah,
getting old sucks."
yeah. And the thing is, it's like, okay, we've seen them do this with Cena.
Yeah.
They, I think they had to vary it a little bit though with Cody. So
Hmm.
maybe United Champions Cody um gets his comeuppance in the street fight match. I don't know.
Yeah, I imagine this has to be some kind of the match itself has to be. Was I the only one that was waiting for Brock Lesnar to break out into the Toby Keith? I want to talk about me.
You might have been. Yeah, I mean, he could have with that gimmick.
I really thought, I'm like, are we just getting that Toby Keith song here?
I
That'd
wish we would have, but we didn't.
been great.
It would have been phenomenal.
It didn't look like the microphone, of course, was working to start when he
Yeah.
grabbed the. I don't
No,
know if they eventually got it working, but
that would have been great if we would have had something in there. But honestly, I don't think that match should have been the traditional main event
I
spot.
agree, and I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, because the crowd just blew the hell up for Bad Bunny and Damian Priest.
Right. I mean, you knew going into it, it's a local flavor.
Yeah,
Sometimes you got to appeal to the local crowds.
and can I just say that crowd in Puerto Rico, like that was straight fire, as the kids are saying these days. Apparently,
They do say that a lot. It's quite annoying.
yeah.
There's a lot of YouTube videos where that is being said, and it's quite annoying.
So I'm glad I
Having
could bring that little taste of your YouTube
oh yeah, hmm
content.
Sean is in that YouTube obsessed age where
Yeah,
yeah,
he's their target audience. Yeah.
oh yeah, and they do these 1-2 buckle my shoe things. It's just really annoying. But enough of that little with the fire tire. Yeah, I thought it was a great main event, a good
Mhm.
main event, I should say. We got what we needed to see. We needed a Cody W. We
Yeah.
got that, and the way they did it, I thought was amazing.
Yeah, they had Cody get the win without making Brock look weak. But
Yep,
everybody won in that. Yeah.
everyone did. Everyone got over. So that's one thing we need is to make the losers look strong.
Right, right. Because you got to encourage, like, guys are eventually going to stop wanting to do favors.
Yeah,
And, like, I think Brock did a really good job of one, setting that leadership role in the locker room, saying, hey, you can lose and still look strong.
yep,
And and Damian Priest, I think, did another great job. He lost the match, but he looked strong as hell. To me, he has really risen his game. His stock has really gone up.
it has, and I think it's going to only go up more and more and more because the more Triple H is in creative,
Yeah.
the more of these NXT guys who were Triple H guys are going to get the bigger pushes. And I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of Damian Priest right now in WWE, because his work as Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor was amazing as well.
When I saw him in Ring of Honor, I put it on one day, and I was a very sporadic Ring of Honor viewer.
Okay.
But when I did see it and I saw Punishment Martinez, I remember exclaiming, "Holy shit! There's the next Undertaker."
Yeah.
And I still kind of see it in him, and I like that he's kind of taken because can we agree that the Undertaker character, if it were brought to us now, like fans wouldn't buy it.
No.
So Damian Priest had to obviously be different. He couldn't just be this supernatural, mythical character.
Right.
And that role is more reserved for Bray Wyatt, who I heard has a new writer, and hopefully he's getting through some of his. Look, I don't want to downplay anybody with any kind of mental conditions.
Right.
I think we can all at times be susceptible to them.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to downplay that, but there's only so many times you're gonna get the sympathy of the audience.
Right.
And I think at a certain point people are gonna say, okay, you went away, you came back and we embraced you, and then before you could even get anything going again, you're gone again. Eventually you're gonna run out of chances with this audience.
You really are. And see, mental conditions and all, I
Mm-hmm.
suffer from PTSD. And I get it. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also that aspect in which in this type of business you have to be there, and that is with Bray. I think the first release blindsided everybody,
Yeah.
but I think now it's kind of like we got him back, and now all of a sudden, right before a huge WrestleMania moment against Lashley,
Yeah.
it vanishes. So,
And I think WWE did the right thing by leaving that cloud of mystery. They won't come out and say it was a mental breakdown.
right,
They're not saying that it was physically not cleared. They're saying he wasn't cleared.
right, yeah,
Which again, WWE I think is handling this with a lot of class. It's the only
they
thing
have
they can really do.
right.
But yeah, you got to wonder about Bray Wyatt. But Damian Priest, I think he has really taken on his role as this, not necessarily a mythical character, but that big, super over,
Tough guy,
yeah,
heel, yeah,
and he was a great tough guy babyface. I thought he was great in the infamous role on NXT,
yep,
and first being brought up to the main roster. I don't think they knew quite what to do with him. So they put a belt on him. They put the U.S. title on him, and he held it great.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was, I really feel like a very good United States champion.
yeah.
Could be again if they were to so choose, or Intercontinental. I would buy a ticket to watch Damian Priest versus Gunther.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. I think that would be
Yeah,
a, a match to move a lot of tickets in a big venue.
if only they had one of those coming up.
Yeah, they only had like 3 or 4 coming up in a row.
Yeah, right. I mean, gosh, they have. If they had two overseas, one I don't know in Michigan
Michigan.
in early August,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
I feel like they could do something there.
I think it's something about a slam that happens in the summer.
The Slam Summer, that's it. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
They definitely could do it there.
And I think that would be a fantastic match. It's funny, you'd have to kind of move their characters a little bit because obviously, we talked about already. It looks like the women's championship tournament in NXT is looking like it's going to be heel Cora Jade against heel Tiffany Stratton, and I think it can be engaging. They've already kind of teased it with both of them being the first two women coming in to grab the vacated NXT Women's Championship belt.
Yeah.
And so you could have heel Gunther versus heel Damian Priest. I feel like it's a tougher sell on the main roster at a Big Four pay-per-view to have one of your future undercard championships be heel versus heel.
Right.
It will be tough. I mean, you could kind of sell Damian Priest as an in-betweener. You could kind of start that transition now, even.
You could. I mean, because you have Imperium on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
You could just make Judgment Day feud with Imperium.
Yeah, you could have that run. I could easily see that run-in happen, especially
just kind of flip Judgment Day face.
Yeah. Oh, you could easily do it.
Because let's face it, Rhea is already over.
Rhea's a face. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Rhea's getting pops. Right. Everybody loves Rhea Ripley. We all love Mommy.
She's getting pops. We know Balor can get a pop.
Oh, yeah. And Damian Priest, I think, can get a pop, too.
Right.
The tricky one is going to be old Dom.
Because they've made him such a great heel now.
He really is. He's fantastic.
I mean,
he entertains the shit out of me.
They really have, with the whole going against your dad and all. It's hard to turn someone face on that.
Yeah, and I mean, what do they call him? Cell Block Dom or
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
Ex-Con Dom. That's what it was.
Dom, yeah.
I absolutely love that whole thing. It's such a rib on anybody who's ever had to, been arrested, and they know, like, dude, until you're actually formally prosecuted, you're just held in a holding cell, and like, he was maybe there for a few hours, and they make it act. And that's just for the show account that he was there for a few hours.
Yeah.
And they make it out like he was running the yard. And it's fantastic.
That was great, though, his entrance at WrestleMania, when it's just like, really?
That was absolutely fantastic. I loved it.
I was sitting there as he's coming out. I said they should have had him come out in Eddie Guerrero's lowrider, because they had a picture of him and Rhea in it. And I was telling my wife, they really need... That's what they really should have done. And then 2 seconds later, Ray comes out, and I'm just like, I guess I spoke too soon.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I get why. Like, I imagine they probably went to Ray and Dom and said, all right, look, we've got this lowrider.
Right.
One of you's going out in it. And Dominic was probably had the idea of, hey, why don't you bring me out, like, in chains and shackles? And
right. Play off this ex-con gimmick.
Which you got to know that has to be such a funny joke in the Mysterio household.
Oh, it's got to be. It's got
like in real life, those two got to be yucking it up about this whole thing.
This whole feud has been great for the two of them.
Yeah, and it's got to have brought them so much closer.
It has to. And now they're on different shows. So
yeah,
at least with the draft, as long as they stick with the way these rosters are, at least now we get some breaks and feuds.
Right. I want to ask about that. So we have the World Title Tournament, and I was very excited about this World Title Tournament.
Right.
And it's taken a lot for me to kind of get on board with the brand split.
No, really.
I know. So the whole thing about Roman Reigns is going to take the Universal title, go to his show, and stay there and not defend it on Monday Night Raw. Since he was drafted to SmackDown.
Right.
And we're going to have a new world champion that is going to wrestle on the other show, now Monday Night Raw.
Correct.
Then why the hell do you include SmackDown in the freaking tournament to decide the first world champion?
I think there's a couple reasons.
Okay.
Number one, just to make it like, it's both brands. Like, it is a tournament for anyone to be in it in the WWE. on the main roster. The other thing is viewership. Because as you started going on your tirade here,
Mm-hmm.
I started to look, and let's face it, we might have a game 6 in the NBA playoffs of New York, Miami, Golden State against the Lakers, doubleheader Friday night.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, NHL wise, we could have a Florida Toronto and an Edmonton Vancouver. I mean, Edmonton Las Vegas.
Yeah, Edmonton Las Vegas. Yeah.
Doubleheader. That's a lot of competition to go up against.
Yeah, and as somebody who I typically already have it set up to record my Smackdown.
Right.
I'm probably watching live one of those other sporting events.
Exactly. So I think they want to get more viewership numbers. So why not say, hey, we're having a title tournament, adds the allure of, championships. These other teams are playing for championships.
I mean, I get it.
I think that's why they did it, to be honest.
He couldn't have had like a U.S. title bout or something on SmackDown instead and just had the world title be. So my question is...
If you look at this SmackDown, though, they're loading it up because...
they are.
Because they already have Roman coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They have 3 title tournament matches because they're doing both triple threats and the final.
And the follow-up, yeah.
And then on top of that, you have a women's tag team title tournament. And women's
that's right, yeah. Liv and Raquel are going to defend against the Damage Control.
Right. And then the winner of that faces Chelsea and Sonya on Monday.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's...
It's got to be Liv and Raquel, right?
It has to be. I mean, I guess we could, as we dive in further into Backlash, I have a lot more to say about Damage Control.
Okay.
We'll have to wait for that, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. But I really think that's why they are trying to make Friday night top heavy. Because it's...
But now, I will say, I'm interested in like SmackDown's version of the World Title Tournament and their participation in it at Night of Champions. Right. But to me, it almost feels like Seth Rollins has to win now. Because if Seth Rollins doesn't win, I mean, the whole idea was Roman's taking the Universal title to SmackDown. And so now we're going to be without a champion on Raw? No. Does the winner of
they said
whoever go to Raw?
They did say that. If someone from SmackDown wins, they go to Raw.
Okay.
But it's just like, out of the SmackDown 6, do you really see any of them pulling the title?
So the SmackDown 6 are AJ, Austin Theory.
Well, AJ, Ray, and Edge are one of the matches.
Ooh.
Then it's Theory and Lashley, and this time Sheamus instead of Bronson Reed.
Okay. Sure.
So.
God, that's like, I would think it should be AJ and Lashley that win the 2 triple threats.
Right.
And I would say AJ should win, and AJ Seth Rollins at Night of Champions. I'd be all in for that.
I'd be in for that. The only one whom I could see them letting win out of those 6 would be Sheamus.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't held a major title in a while, and this would get him over to Raw to continue his feud with Gunther. But I don't know.
Ooh, yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna. I think they're letting that.
I think they're letting. Yeah, they're gonna try to let that simmer down. Have you heard anything more about Drew McIntyre? Drew McIntyre, of course, was drafted to Monday Night Raw. To my knowledge, had no clue about him creatively being drafted to Monday Night Raw.
I haven't heard much from Drew. like the way people have been talking about it. Like I know he's upset with his creative in WWE, and
Mm-hmm.
here he could be a free agent. Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Right now, you're working for the number one company. You had
Yeah, and the 12 AEW staunch supporters who were like, and I'm a big AEW fan, but I mean like the ones who were like AEW's number one. The 12 of you can simmer down.
right
WWE is the top program in the industry.
by a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just like you're there. You were
Hmm.
in one of the top feuds for the past few years. This is
Yeah.
really an opportunity for you to go to the other show and really be in the main event. Because think about it. Who wouldn't want to face Rollins against the heel McIntyre for the world title?
Oh God, I would love that. That'd
That's
be it. Either sign me up for SummerSlam or Money in the Bank with Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins.
right. Not unless Drew's keeping it quiet and they're in his ear saying, hey, we're going to keep you on roll. Seth's going to win the title, but his first challenger is going to be you. And they build it up to Drew and Seth at Money in the
Hmm.
Bank or Drew and Seth at SummerSlam.
Like, and think about it, like, and having watched a lot of like the Bruce Pritchard or listened to a lot of the Bruce Pritchard podcast, Something You Wrestle With, he mentions all the time when he goes into creative meetings, like it's not unusual when he like is pitching ideas to talent that they would say, "Well, I hate that idea," and the response would be, "Okay, well, pitch us something."
Yeah.
And I could see, a conversation where Drew says, well, we've been having so many disagreements. I've been kind of shit on here by a lot of the creative. Why don't we just go with that and air that as our dirty laundry, as our big thing is that I'm feuding with you guys, have this whole rumor circulate that I could be leaving the company. And then he shows up maybe night after Night of Champions on that first Monday and Claymore's Seth Rollins in the middle of the ring.
Here's the one problem, though.
Mm.
As we're sitting talking about this,
Mm-hmm.
look where Money in the Bank's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make it heel Drew McIntyre in front of that crowd?
You don't have to have a big heel Drew McIntyre. He can kind of be like he can do heel things and still get babyface reactions. Like, I mean, we've seen that happen before. I mean, Brock Lesnar, heck, for years, I feel like was doing heel things to babyface reactions,
Yeah, he really was.
and he didn't give a shit. He just went out and did his thing.
Maybe they could do that with Drew.
Yeah,
He's got the build to do it.
he's
Yeah.
got the build. He's got the clout. Like everything, Drew McIntyre is big enough for that role.
He really is. He is.
So I absolutely would love that idea.
I think it would be good for him.
Yeah.
And who knows? I mean, we could get something like that. I don't know what they're going to do. I would love to see Drew back.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm an AEW supporter as well.
Sure. And we're going to talk about them later on in the show tonight. Yeah.
I don't see him doing much over there.
I don't know that you can have him do very much. AEW has really built up this whole idea that, like, it's all about the wrestling. It's about what you do in the 20 by 20 and very little as far as, like, character development, feud pushing outside of being in matches.
Right.
Whereas WWE, like, my God, I feel like sometimes it's like matches kind of get in the way of the storylines.
It does sometimes.
It's like, oh wait, what? We're gonna have a match on our show tonight?
Like the Raw after WrestleMania, where they only had like 5 or 6 the whole night.
Right, and everything else was promos and good character development.
Right.
And the thing is, had you not said they only had like 5 or 6 matches the night after Raw,
Right.
or night after Raw, night after WrestleMania, I probably wouldn't have even noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so much more development.
Yeah,
It developed the main event to Saturday, which was well done.
very well done. And again, I'll say this: the 6 man, like, am I the only one that's over the whole? Is Solo Sikoa going to turn on the Usos? Like, am I the only one that's kind of over that whole thing?
I'm over it too. Like I'm just tired of it.
It's
I
like if it was going to happen, it needed to happen already. And now I feel like that's going to be the big build up on SmackDown this week. You know, is Solo there to do a job on the Usos with Roman? Like, is Roman there to oversee that hammer goes down on the Usos for losing the tag titles?
I'm just so over the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm tired of the part-time joke champion known as Roman
Yeah.
Reigns. And it's just like if they were going to turn Solo against the Usos, it should have happened already.
Yes.
The whole feud has lost all steam, I think.
I agree. And now it's like, what are we like?
What else
What are
is
we
there?
doing here? Like, I mean, is Solo gonna turn on the Usos on SmackDown this week, and are we building towards Usos versus Solo and Roman? And well, I mean, I guess it could be at Night of Champions, but Roman's supposed to theoretically defend his title that night. Who's he defending his title against? Because Night of Champions is supposed to be when every championship is on the line, unless they're not doing that either. Which, I mean, I guess they could elect to not do that.
You know what they should do?
Mm,
Give us Roman against Bobby Lashley.
I would be in for that.
I would say AJ, but they
Yeah,
might need AJ in that tournament final against Seth. But
yeah. I think that would be the
but
perfect
then
final.
again, Seth could pull out a match against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Where Roman needs a certain person to work with, so maybe AJ.
That'd be a great rivalry to rekindle. You
The
know.
other thing is, Nikki, can you please stop playing with the curtain? Um, the other thing is, with that is AJ's got backup. How would that
Yeah.
play out?
Cool.
Because
And it could easily then play just as it did in 2016 when you had the Usos versus Gallows and Anderson.
right,
I mean, I'd sign up for another match between those two teams.
yeah, me too. But I don't know. I just feel like the whole Roman thing,
Mhm.
the whole bloodline thing, it's done.
Yeah, it needed to end at WrestleMania.
WWE missed their
Yeah,
opportunity. Because now they're going to stretch this out for a whole other year, and I think it might backfire.
I really think it might too. I think by the time we get to WrestleMania 40, like, I'm not going to give a shit anymore. Like,
Right,
I'm going to go because it's WrestleMania in Philadelphia, and I'm sure it's
right.
going to be epic, and they'll sell me on some other matches, and they'll be great.
Yeah,
But like, like, I'll probably be sitting there, and when we get to the main event, like, a part of me will probably be saying, "All right, should I just go?" Like,
like this.
yeah,
Are we there? We're at the main event again.
yeah, right. Oh, Roman Cody 2. Here we go.
I just, I really think they should have just pulled the plug and gotten it done with.
I do
Um,
too. And you didn't need the 1,000 days for Roman. Like, what does
you,
that really do for him?
you know what it does? It gives us we've had 1,000-day champion. That means nothing. And then they're going to compare him to the four again. And it's just like,
Yeah, the Backlund, Hogan, Bruno, and oh, I
and
just
Pedro.
blanked. Pedro. There we go.
Yes. It's just, you can't compare Roman's reign to them.
No.
And I don't really know why they're doing this or what for. It's not good at this
To
point.
me, I think they kind of wanted to draw on the old comparison LeBron James to Michael Jordan. And I think they wanted to bring like the people out, like the younger generation that is more about LeBron James, and have them be like, oh yeah, Roman Reigns is better than Backlund or Bruno or
The thing is, you've had that though,
you know.
because I've heard people argue,
Mm-hmm.
and it really is a decent argument when you go back and forth. If you hear educated fans,
Mm-hmm.
Cena, Hogan, that's a very legitimate argument.
Sure, I agree.
But it's like Roman shouldn't be put in the same echelon, but they just keep force feeding. It's like ever since he came to the main roster, it's just been
Mm-hmm.
shove him down your throat, shove him down your throat, shove him down your throat.
Well, isn't that what we heard for so long about John Cena?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, what this has done though, this 1,000-day title reign has made it to where I almost feel like it's one of those things. They knew he wasn't gonna be, because of like his health and everything with his body. He wasn't gonna be one of those guys who wore the belt 15 times, 16 times.
Yep.
So, okay, if we're not going to have him mathematically get to the numbers of, say, a Ric Flair or John Cena or even Randy Orton or Triple H, well, we have to give him something else to distinguish him as one of the all-time greats.
Right.
And I think that's what this is.
That's what this is. And it's a shame because it's costed a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it cost. I mean, how many great matches would we've had? Great attractions with, say, Brock Lesnar. What a
Yeah.
great story we would have had if Edge had won the Universal title at WrestleMania 37.
Yeah.
10 years to the day
Then
that
he
he had
did.
to forfeit the world championship.
Yep.
Which he's another name we haven't really talked about in relation to the world title tournament.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't see Edge really being a threat in it.
Well, because I mean, the whole idea is it's a workhorse championship. He's going to be there defending it all the time, and well, Edge doesn't wrestle all the time.
Exactly. Exactly. That's one of the big things. Edge doesn't wrestle all the time.
Right. And I get it. Like, he's
he's
older. His
retired.
body's been put through the
Right.
hell. Like,
Hold on a second.
yeah. I know you're having some lighting issues there. All right. There we go.
There we go.
But
Yes.
like, Edge doesn't wrestle all the time. He can't. His body won't let him. And that's why he's not really being perceived as that much of that. It would be an interesting story if on a short term thing, although I wouldn't really want to do that for a first world champion.
Right. You got to have
Like,
someone who's gonna do it.
yeah, I'd be okay with it as a second or third world champion if, like, say, at this coming WrestleMania, Edge finds himself into the world title match and Edge wins the world championship.
Yeah.
And then it's like, say, Edge beats Seth Rollins, and although they've had their run of matches, I'd be okay with a WrestleMania world title match with Edge and
I
Seth.
think I would too. Yeah.
Okay, I guess let's move down the card here. I guess we've diverged off the track enough. Like you said, I agree with you about the like. To me, the 6-man was not really all that interesting.
No, it wasn't interesting at all, I thought.
I mean, I used it as a bathroom break and got something to drink, and that's when I kind of decided, hey, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm probably going to go to bed after the show. So for anybody who wanted to tune in to see our reaction after the show, sorry, I was drunk and went to bed.
There you go. It
Yeah.
happens. It happens. There.
Oh,
Saturdays ago. So So that was another reason why we couldn't get earlier. Didn't expect to be for
Yeah, yeah, your
dog on
dog.
Saturday, but I did. Mm.
Yeah, I enjoyed the
So there you
photos.
go. You never know what's going to happen. Yes, yes, she's a sweet. She's a sweetie, the new one. So it'll be interesting to see how she blends in with the rest of the gang down the road. But
Yeah, it's something that
so
you'll
that's
definitely have
why
to keep all of us updated on.
that's why I couldn't make it for the pre-show for the predictions. But
So,
I
but
mean,
everybody just trusts that we got all of them right. Actually, you did send me your predictions beforehand,
and
and
you said it was
the
the
only
same
one I
one.
think, yeah, the only one we got wrong was the six man, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which again to
Now,
me was the most uninteresting part of the whole show.
really, it was. It wasn't good at all, and it just was flat. And
Yeah.
I was kind of watching it from like the outside here and there, like zooming
Mhm.
in and out. Because at that point we had the three dogs out because I wanted to, especially Sean wanted to see the Cody match.
Sure.
So we figured, this is a good bathroom break for dogs. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Good call on the bathroom break for the dogs.
exactly.
So let's talk about what, in my opinion, and I know you already stated your opinion, was the best match of the night. Damian Priest and Bad Bunny.
They tore it down.
Seriously, every time Bad Bunny steps in the ring, I'm like, why does everybody think this is so hard?
It's not that. You know what? I saw someone write something online, and at first I laughed about it, but then I thought it wouldn't be that bad. SummerSlam, we've seen we've seen it.
Logan
Roman
Paul
against,
versus Roman Reigns. We could see Bad Bunny versus Roman.
why not at this point?
You know
I
what?
mean,
Screw it. Let's go with it. I'm down.
let's just have it at this point. I mean, what else can we have? Because you need like 5 or 6 matches for Roman this year
Right.
to hold us till next WrestleMania. So
Yeah, I'd be fine with Roman and Bad Bunny at SummerSlam. Yeah.
Lashley's going to get a crack at one of the events.
Hmm. I would think
One,
that would make sense for either Night of Champions or Money in the Bank.
right. Kind of have his first
Yeah.
big challenger. With the way everything's lining up on SmackDown, AJ's going to have to get in a shot or two, I think.
Yeah, I would think that would make sense. You could maybe
Edge,
position him for after SummerSlam,
right.
in
Maybe,
that September October range.
maybe Edge again.
Sure, maybe around December, January you could have Edge, and then we go right into
Mania.
WrestleMania. Yeah.
Because I don't think Theory's going to be anywhere near Roman.
No, Theory's not ready for that role.
So just looking at if that's your top 6 on SmackDown besides Roman, the guys in the tournament, Sheamus and Roman have had a long thing with the Brutes and the Usos involved. And then Lashley makes sense. Theory, they're not going to touch him. Rey Mysterio, I don't think.
Yeah.
So that leaves you Edge and AJ. So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, I'd be fine with the Bad Bunny, and then you mentioned some of the other names from the tournament.
Yeah.
So let's really talk about this Bad Bunny Damian Priest match. The Bunny Destroyer at the like some of the stuff that they did in the match was just freaking hilarious. And the commentary. I'm sorry, that's what I really wanted to talk about was when at Damian Priest at one point does this. She's like very quiet while hunting rabbits.
Right.
Like I thought I was gonna lose my shit.
That was great when he did that. Again, the surprises I thought were great. Seeing Savio Vega come out in the beginning of the show,
and then having him have a role at the end too.
Then having him have a role. The surprise Carlito return is always a good thing.
That pop was huge, and supposedly, man, WWE's open to working more with him.
I think it'd be great.
I think it would be absolutely. I would love to see, like, if done right, man, maybe like a Carlito Brock Lesnar match.
Right. And see, that was also trying to explain to, because Carlito's been gone for a long time.
Yeah,
Trying to explain to Sean, and I told Denise, don't you remember him when you, and I guess he was gone by the time she really was watching
I guess.
in
Yeah,
11 and 12. I guess he was gone by then. And
yeah,
I said, you got to understand, this guy's dad is like the Hulk Hogan of Puerto Rico.
yeah.
And I said, Carlos History, Puerto Rican pro wrestling. This is his son, second generation guy, won some titles in WWE, and then really
Fell off the map.
fell off the map. He's doing some independent stuff, but really he's fallen off the map.
Yeah, it's such a shame too, because he was such a talent, and
He was.
I felt like even when he left WWE, I'm like, how is he not going to get picked up by, like, at that point it was more just Impact was kind of the only show in town as far as competition.
In Ring of Honor.
And then Ring of Honor, yeah, I mean, yeah, Ring of Honor was there too. Then he could have gone there. I thought, maybe go overseas to New Japan.
Yeah.
But he didn't do any of that. It was just kind of local indie stuff around, all over the country.
He went back to the island.
And he went back to the islands. And I mean, look, by all accounts, he seems to be having a nice life, certainly keeping himself in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wish that his brother and cousin came back too.
That would have been pretty cool.
That would have been cool.
I almost feel like if that many people had come back, though, Damian Priest becomes kind of the sympathetic, outnumbered guy.
Yeah, but I think it was good when it was just Carlito and Savio, kind of the two biggest Puerto Rican names in WWE's Impact, and then have the LWO come out and continue their feud.
I thought all of that was really good. And I guess really it's kind of their blow off because they're on SmackDown and the Judgment Day's on Raw and everybody's supposed to move on.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see who's going to feud with the LWO next.
And I have a question. What are we going to have happen with the tag titles? I mean, because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn technically have both titles. They going to get stripped of the SmackDown tag titles, or are we going to have a SmackDown tag title tournament? Are they going to show up and defend the SmackDown tag team titles? Are they going to be defending both tag team titles?
Let me call Triple H up and ask him on the podcast. Let's see.
I would absolutely love to have Triple H on our podcast. First question is, when can I come work for you?
Right. Oh man, no, I'm wondering what they're going to do with that, and what are they going to do with the two women's titles?
Right. I mean, you still have Rhea Ripley on Monday Night Raw walking around with the SmackDown women's title, and Bianca Belair walking around Friday Night SmackDown with the Raw Women's Championship. So, I mean, I'm not saying you don't need to have the awkward Becky Lynch Charlotte moment of them switching belts in the middle of the ring.
No.
It could be a subtle thing where it's like, hey, you guys send us your titles and then we'll get them to the other people for their next show. So Bianca Belair walks out on SmackDown this Friday with the SmackDown women's title. Right. Rhea walks out next Monday on Raw with the Raw women's title.
The other thing, there was one, it was a tag team. I want to say, was it the New Day and the Street Profits when they did the backstage flip?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like I'm wondering what they're going to do.
And, see, that one was all right because they were both good guy tag teams, and it was just oh, okay, here, we'll switch it up.
And it worked. And it was just kind of like Adam Pearce, like, all right, guys, just swap your belts. And presto, there you go. Now the Becky Charlotte, we could cover a whole hour on that whole.
Oh yeah, that was cringeworthy.
That was cringeworthy. But it's just like, what are they gonna do now? Like you drafted the women's champion
Mm-hmm.
to the opposite show. So are they gonna rebrand the titles?
See, I'd be good with rebranding.
Right.
Have the
Because
Women's World Championship and the WWE Women's Championship.
Because let's face it, they want to keep Bianca in this huge long title reign. But now they put themselves in a pickle.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out how you're going to get out of this.
I mean, you could just say it's one continuous title reign as a women's champion.
I guess you could. I don't know. I really don't know.
You know WWE, they'll change the rules up anytime they see fit.
Anytime they see an opportunity. Yeah. Oh, let's do the old switcheroo.
Yeah, and you know what? It wouldn't surprise me at all if they switch up the belts and we're just like, just start talking about how long Becky or Bianca Belair has been a women's champion in WWE.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
So let's talk a little bit about that SmackDown Women's Championship match in Puerto Rico. Rhea Ripley and
Selena
Vega tore the freaking house. Selena Vega, like in tears before the match even started. If you don't feel that emotion, man, there's something wrong with you.
You know, I think Stevie Wonder saw who was going to win this match.
Well, yeah.
I think this match was, of all the matches, we knew Rhea just won the title. She's going to come out champion.
Yeah, she's super over. She's definitely retaining.
But the way they built up Selena, had her wear the Puerto Rican flag in her jacket, had her all decked out in red, white, and blue. She's got the emotion in performing in front of her family who all flew down from New York for the event. I mean, it's just, the whole thing was amazing. And she was super over with the crowd, did the tributes. I thought it was an awesome match.
Yeah. Oh, it was fantastic.
And we knew Rhea had to win, but the way she did win, Selena got a lot of spots.
Right. Remember, we were talking about it last week, saying, how do you have Rhea win, but keep that momentum, but really help build up and have that great moment for Selena? Man, they killed it. They nailed that.
It was magnificent the way they did that match.
Another job of, I don't know if you ever watched the show Breaking Ground. It was all on NXT Superstars, like way back in like 2015, 2016. Yeah. And when Triple H talked about when Asuka was debuting in NXT and she was debuting against Dana Brooke, and Dana did such a great job in that match with Asuka, making sure Asuka got over, but also got her own stuff over.
Yeah.
And Triple H just said, he's like, that is the perfect way of knowing my job is to get Asuka over, but in that process, I can get myself over too.
Yeah. And Dana did. And that's one person who, in all these brand splits, all this shuffling, how come they haven't done more with her?
I feel like that is going to be one of the questions that one day when she retires and she's no longer, and she quietly fades away. Like, I feel like we're going to sit here and we could spend an entire hour on why Dana Brooke was not given more of an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, please tell me one area she's lacking.
I know.
The look. The woman is a bombshell. The physique. Have you seen her Miss Universe pose? Woman is strong.
Right.
Her move set, she could do a freaking standing flip, just on her entrance, just every time out, just boom. Are you kidding me?
Especially when Vince was in charge. I'm surprised of him of all people, that dog. Be like, oh,
seriously, I thought for sure, when I saw her the first time I saw her, I said, "That is Vince McMahon's new Golden Girl."
Yeah, that's what I thought. But
Yeah,
Charlotte's kind of kept that to herself, that
yeah.
pose.
I thought for sure Dana Brooke is going to get in there and take that spot. And when she came up to the main roster and was working with Charlotte in 2016, I thought to myself, I'm like, so she's gonna outshine Charlotte and end up becoming the women's champion.
Right.
And of course, everything went the way it has, and she hasn't been able to get out of her own way, and
Yeah.
has just been doing jobs ever since.
It's been. It's either to me. It's there's three amazing, well, two amazing features with Dana. Is
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed of how little they've done with her,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also amazed that she's still on the roster after all
Yeah.
after all the years of cut, 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 cut. I mean that I guess
Oh, every year, and you would see all the like people who would try to get out in front of him and be like, "Oh, these are the people that are probably going to get cut at the next big cuts." Her name would always be front and center on it, and man, she just kept surviving.
that she did.
More lives than a freaking cat.
Tell me about it, and it's just like I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but God bless her.
It's worked for
Yeah. Okay, what have we forgot? The U.S. title match. Any thoughts there on the U.S. title match?
her. Yeah, U.S. title match.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Theory did what heels do, like especially in a triple threat with two big
It's
guys, and you had the small guy end up getting the win. Let the two big guys take all the bumps and then sneak in there and get a pin.
all
Good
right.
for him.
Good for him. And then it was the Rollins Omos match, which I
You
mean,
know, Rollins can make anybody look good,
to his
and
credit, got a match out of Omos, which no one else
yeah,
has been able to do.
and did that stomp from the top rope. And when I saw that, I'm like, how the hell is he going to pull this off? It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, he can have a match with the cardboard box,
Yeah, and he could make that cardboard box look like $1,000,000.
and that he could. That he could.
And I feel like that's kind of what he did with Omos on Saturday night.
Yeah, he really made Omos look good. So that was good.
Yeah. So top to bottom, I'd give the card a solid 2 thumbs up.
Right. Oh wait, we forgot. We didn't talk about the opening match, which I wanted to touch a little base on
Okay.
with Bianca and Io Sky.
Oh yeah.
To me, it's amazing how that audience was pushing for the heel to win.
They wanted a title change. They wanted something different.
They wanted something different. We're at that stage where,
Yes.
let's face it, Bianca ain't over the way they
No,
want her to be.
she's not. And I tried to think about, like, if I were in the shoes, if Vince McMahon or Triple H were to call me and say, Eric, how do we get Bianca Belair over? We've watched your podcast. You've obviously got a great mind for this business. I'm sorry, I almost said that with a straight face. But how would you get Bianca Belair over? And I
Uh,
tried to think about what I would do. An easy answer would be turn her heel.
right.
And I thought about, well, how do you do that? Like,
How do you? Yeah,
and like,
it's a tough sell at this point.
yeah, I mean, I would love to do kind of a double turn with Bianca and Io, but it's kind of like, how do you do it?
I don't know at this point.
And
It's
I mean, I harken back to the greatest double turn of all time, Bret Hart Stone Cold. I mean, do you do a submission match for the for the Raw Women's Championship on SmackDown and have Bianca leave Io completely knocked out and unable to answer for the I Quit? And
maybe.
I mean, it seems silly to rip off that Bret Hart Stone Cold double turn, but
they might
and,
have to.
and I mean, it'd be a good way to break up Damage Control. Like maybe Io says to Bailey, "Do not get involved in this match, no matter what,"
Right.
and something in Japanese, and then goes out there and tears the house down.
I don't know what they're going to do, but
Yeah.
they need to do something and fast.
Yeah.
Because, all right, they've given her the longest reign in the modern era. Okay. Again, another title that they didn't deserve that person to have the longest reign.
No, definitely not.
Becky, Charlotte, Bailey,
Yeah, I feel like any of the four horsewomen would have been deserving.
even Rowdy Ronda Rousey would be more deserving, I think, of the
Sure,
long.
she's definitely more over.
Right. And it's just like we just continuously get behind the machine continuously gets behind people for
Mm-hmm.
various reasons that are beyond you and me and whoever else. And it's just like, but some of them just don't make sense.
Yeah.
And holding Bianca as champion for as long as they have isn't making a lot of logistical sense to me.
No, it's not making a lot of sense to me either. And the thing is,
At
it's
this
like there's been a few times, and look, I realize, like, I'm not the biggest Bianca Belair supporter.
right.
Look, I don't wish bad on her. I'm not like actively rooting for her to get injured or nothing, but like, I'm just, when it comes whoever she's facing, normally I'm for the other person.
Exactly.
And like, so maybe I'm not the best judge on either when it should have been or when it should be that we finally end this women's championship reign of hers. But to me, it's gone on too long.
Yeah,
Um, it's stale. It's outdated. Like
it really is. And I'm trying
when
to
she
think.
held up the belt and was just like, "I'm going to be the longest reigning champ like, of the modern era." Who the flip cares?
Exactly. It's like, who really cares at this point? And right now, I'm just trying to look to see the WWE roster right now
Mm-hmm.
for SmackDown. Like, who do they have that could? Let me look here. Women's roster for SmackDown. You know what? When you start looking at it, Charlotte's on vacation,
Yeah,
but
which she seems to always go on her post WrestleMania vacation, and
she does. See, I thought Becky went to SmackDown. She went to Raw.
no, she's on Raw. Yeah,
She's on Raw. Oh, makes sense because Seth's on Raw.
yeah, and now
Um,
she's feuding with Trish,
right.
and I
So
suppose they're gonna let that go all the way to SummerSlam.
they're definitely going to let
Yeah,
that go to SummerSlam. So really, Asuka's back on SmackDown.
I
But
mean, I would love to see
lose on Raw,
Asuka Bianca again.
right? But they just had Asuka lose. It's like, who else are they going to put in there? Are they going to put one of the Damage Control girls on in that?
I mean, I guess next up would be Dakota.
Right. Not unless do they really surprise us and give us Alba Fire
Oh,
or Isla Dawn in a feud against Bianca?
I would absolutely love it, and I would love to see Alba Fire and Isla Dawn helping Alba Fire become the the Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown.
I mean, they are the NXT Women's Tag Champs on SmackDown, so
Yeah, sure.
I mean that's another title. They vacated the women's singles title, but they didn't do anything with.
Do you think that was because of her going to Raw or because of her injury?
I think that was more because of her injury.
Okay.
Because they knew she wasn't going to be able to defend it. So she's going to Raw anyway. The family's back together in backstage segment.
Yeah, with only one exception.
Well, yeah. I
And
mean,
I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
no, no. Now, the one thing I'm interested to see
Mm-hmm.
with him is, and I think we touched base on this last week a little bit. What are they going to do with him and Grayson Waller on the same show? Like, are they going to have him feud? The two young, brash, out of control heels?
I would enjoy kind of the two of them getting along almost like a team for a little bit, but each one of them trying to outshine the other
Right.
until eventually we have like a match between them.
That would be good too. Yeah. It's just interesting to see.
Yeah. Look, that's the one thing as we get to these premieres. We had Raw's premiere with the new rosters this
Right.
past Monday. We'll have SmackDowns on Friday.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how each roster adjusts. And especially now after we had so long without a draft where it was all kind of intermingled.
Yeah, they really were just throwing whoever
And it
where.
does kind of remind me of the old brand era when it was like towards the end of it. Like, and I felt like, oh, yes, we're finally getting away from the brand era. And they're like, oh, we're going to have another draft. I'm like, no, no. But you remember, like, every Raw was a super show, and members of Raw and SmackDown were on it every freaking week. And
Yeah,
when you had it every week, it's not special anymore.
right, exactly. Yeah, the Raw Super Show got superly overplayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how long before we get the Raw Super Shows and members of Raw and SmackDown are on Monday Night Raw.
I think they're going to keep this for a little bit. This,
At least for a few months, yeah.
right. I think it might be a few years.
I hope. I hope if they're gonna do it, they do it right.
Right.
Like that's my one argument. I don't like the halfway in the middle thing. Like,
Yeah, either keep it the way it
right
goes or not. And
now,
this,
my question is, when we get to November and we get the Survivor Series, are we gonna have another War Games match? Is it Raw versus SmackDown War Games?
I think you need to.
I would absolutely
I think
love
we
Raw versus
need to.
SmackDown War Games.
I think we need that. And I think
And do we
that's
have champion versus champion? Roman versus Seth? Because we're assuming Seth wins the world title,
right.
which maybe is a bad assumption because God, who knows what could happen.
Who knows? Um, yeah, let's just go with it. Yeah, I think that would be a good one-on-one match.
Yeah, we have Roman versus Seth 1-on-1, and then we have Team Raw versus Team SmackDown in War Games.
Right.
I'm good with it.
Now, here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about all these titles. What about the fact that we have both women's tag titles now on the main roster? What are they gonna? Are they gonna keep the NXT women's tag titles on the main roster?
I don't think they should.
So, who knows what they're gonna do?
Yeah. Well, all that will be. We will certainly be sure to discuss that in the future. Something I want to talk about right now, before we get out of here, is I want to. Yeah, here we go. I want to invite everyone to go on over to law-terrain.com and use the promo code Philly Sports Alliance for site-wide discounts. Great company, been a big part of our shows here on the Philly Sports Alliance really for a really long time, and excited to have them as a sponsor. So go on over to law-terrain.com and use the promo code Philly Sports Alliance for your nice sweet discount. So Ryan will be very excited that I got that in. Always want to make sure to keep our sponsors happy, and anybody really that if you're interested in, hey, look, if you're interested in sponsoring us, give us a call. We'll certainly take your money and we'll advertise the shit out of you. But um, That's a joke, everybody. All
It
right.
was a good one. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Um, but yeah, I guess that's probably gonna about do it for tonight.
Yeah.
We did a good job running down the Backlash pay per view. Didn't really get into AEW much. I imagine we'll preview their upcoming pay per view, Double or Nothing.
They just have a small show coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then that big show, All In, coming in August. That's gonna be freaking awesome. And to everybody who's tried to downplay what they've accomplished in ticket sales over there, like, do you just not enjoy life?
I don't think they do.
Like, I mean, can't you just be happy for people achieving something?
I, I'm ecstatic for it.
Yeah, like, and look, I know we're fans of the industry. Like, yes, we're both like, and in a couple of weeks, we're going to debut our 100 favorite matches. And you're going to see, at least on my list, I can tell you, it's going to be predominantly the WWE umbrella,
Okay.
which encompasses WWE, WCW, ECW, which are the three main promotions that I've really, I guess for lack of a better term, grown up with.
Right.
There will be some Ring of Honor, there will be some Impact and AEW.
Yeah.
I have 98 matches listed.
Oh wow.
And so now I'm just trying to decide what are the last two I'm listing and then put together the order.
Okay.
So mine should be ready to unveil starting next week. And we can discuss more if you need more time. I can give you an extension.
I'm pretty well there. I mean, I'm just
I'm trying to work out the order.
trying to work out the order, trying to go back to see, do I need something else?
Right. And it's funny, like some of the things that like I've thought about, like, what about like the annual concepts? Like, where do you put Royal Rumble matches in there? Like, do they count it? Like, I don't have any Royal Rumble matches in my top 100,
Okay.
but it's not that I don't love the Royal Rumble match. It's like, how do I decide which one's better than the next? Like,
Right. That's tricky.
yeah,
I think I might have one or two on there.
okay.
Um,
And I know I have a couple War Games matches. I have a couple. I think I have one Blood and Guts match.
okay.
Um,
Um, but yeah, it's
I
kind of
think two Money in the Bank matches are in mine.
okay.
But like, I struggled with how to compartmentalize the annual specialty match, where the match is the attraction.
Right.
Like, I put the first Elimination Chamber match in my list, and I don't really have any other ones that like really stand out to me as like. Not that I don't think any of them are good enough, but it's like,
They don't stand out.
yeah. And to me, there's more of an emphasis when you're a novelty match like that. There's a need for you to stand out in order to make a list like
Right.
this.
I mean, you could always put the December to Dismember one on there.
I suppose I could. I'm not going to, but thank you for the suggestion. I choose to never acknowledge anything from that show, ever. You were so close to November. Why couldn't it just be November to remember?
I do acknowledge one match on that show.
Okay.
The Eminem against the Hardy Boys was a good match.
Yes. Yes, it was. Although
The-
not even really the best match between the two teams that month.
right. However, it was a good match.
Yeah.
Then the
It
wheels
was.
fell. Don't even.
Yeah.
I remember watching it because that was the third pay per view in 5 consecutive weeks.
Yes.
That was the other problem.
And pay-per-views in December typically don't do well. This is the people having to spend money at Christmas time.
Right.
And I remember I ordered the pay-per-view, and like every other pay-per-view I ever freaking ordered, I had my VCR hooked up. I'm sitting there, I'm hitting record, and like I was getting this feedback on the show, and like it would get all blurry and messed up, and so I ended up calling the cable company. They're like, and I'm telling them like, like the thing, and finally the lady says to me, "Is like, well, are you recording it?" I said, "What the heck's that got to do with anything?" And she's like, "Well, you're not allowed to record those. It's for one time." I'm like, "The hell out of here! I'm not redistributing it. That's what that whole law's about, is the redistribution of it. That's what, I'm like, don't try to get me on freaking little bylaws here.
Oh, they try no matter what.
I'm like, don't you try that shit with me." And I went off on, you try that with the old ladies, not with me.
Right. I think by the time that came out, I already had my DVR.
Oh, nice.
So I was able to actually just record right on the disc.
Nice.
Because I had a VHS DVR combo.
Oh,
So
yeah, the DVD yeah.
I was just recording because,
Nice.
as I told you, I had a problem when I was younger with videotapes and too many of them. So.
Oh, believe me, if you ever want to get my wife on a tangent, just get talking to her about my wrestling tape collection.
Oh, I shall.
And my unwillingness to part with it, even in, pretty recent years.
Of course.
More recently than I would care to admit.
There you go.
It was after the network came out. She was like, "Are you finally going to get rid of these tapes?" And I'm just like, "But what if something happens and I can't keep the network anymore? I need to have the tape." She's like, "You have enough DVDs to fill a freaking, like, I'm not telling you to get rid of the DVDs, just the VHS tapes."
Right.
So yeah, that was,
it happens.
yeah. All right, I think that was my cue. It is time for us to call it a night. Very, very good catching up, talking wrestling with everybody. Yeah, anything to add before we get out of here, Mike?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Well, then I guess happy wrestling, everybody.